with Ben, it always is.
Yeah.
Always.
I got the
Which is
magic mushrooms from yelling.
she did eat some, Ben.
I know you and I talked about that a couple
It weren't
interviews
you who
ago.
sent me that article?
Yeah, yeah, I sent it
Okay,
to you.
God, yeah. And she liked it,
She
and
did.
she started making all kinds of deals with Xi after that. I
Crazy
think she made a
predictions.
deal with Xi when he came to San Francisco to make sure the dollar didn't go higher anymore because they're
Right.
getting tired of spending money on intervention.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's go, bro. I'm looking forward to seeing the future with you.
Yeah, so we're doing something a little bit different. Usually we focus on the huge cycles, because I wanted to make sure everyone understood bigger picture what's going on. Today we're gonna narrow it down to like the next 16, 18 months, 2024 and 2025. So we're gonna really zero in and focus on, what we
Yeah, to
can
you
expect.
that's a microscope to you.
It
To
is.
most people it's a telescope.
Yeah, I
But
mean the
oh,
interesting thing, Dale, is we're like on the doorstep now, ready to cross the threshold of this whole big mess that's
yeah.
coming and all these changes. What we're going to talk about today is what to expect for this year into next year, 2025. It is going There's going to be major changes occurring all over the globe, not just in the U.S. And not just in the West. It's just a period of massive changes in both markets and governments and societies.
Okay.
2024 is also going to be the year of karma, where what you reap, you're going to sow. If you've been a bad person, it's gonna come back on you, and the things that sort of bad actors and leaders have done are going to boomerang back on them. Same with the markets. It's going to be time to pay the piper. The other thing, everybody's since we topped in 2021, 2022, and then had that mini bear market come through. Everyone was saying, "Oh, the panic's coming, the panic's coming, the panic's coming." Well, it wasn't. We never really saw a panic in the markets, but the panic windows are opening, and we're going to identify and give people an idea of when we think that's going to be in terms of when those windows are open. And then lastly, we'll talk about markets that can benefit from this period and potentially, do well in this cycle.
Still bullish the dollar?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
Okay.
The key thing to understand, and I think I don't say this lightly because it's really important. Things are not going to be the same. We're not going back. We're not going to have, whomever you support politically or whatever leaders or whatever you think in terms of it's going to go back to the way it was. It's not. Things are going to be very, very different in the world and in this country. The things that I think we're going to see that I want to focus in on. We talked about through the Epoch cycle how these institutions were being weakened and people were losing confidence and faith in them. Over the next 18 months or so, we're going to start seeing visible breakdowns. We're going to start seeing these institutions actually fail. And I'll go through some examples that I think we're already starting to see. Um, for society, I think the civil unrest we saw in 2020 is going to be back on steroids and make that look like it was, a Thanksgiving Day parade. It's going to be really bad because people are getting to the point where they're fed up and they really want to see a new direction and change, and they're not getting it, and they're just
Angry.
sort of angry and at the end of their rope. So I think civil unrest is going to be a strong thing. An interesting thing, an unprecedented number of national elections around the world are taking place in 2024. 64 different countries plus the EU are all voting. And we'll talk a little bit about that. In risk markets, I think we're going to go from this cyclical bull, back to the secular bear. Commodity markets, I think, are going to do the opposite. Since the peak after Russia's invasion, I think we're going to start to see those shift from, the bearish cycle to the more secular bull there.
Grains
A-
have been obliterated.
I know, and I'll show you one chart in the grains that, it's just it's a nasty correction, but we're just pulling back to longer term support in some of these markets. You were talking about nat gas the other day. I'm going to show that too. Real estate, the sort of throw this into the cocktail. We're about to start the downturn in the real estate cycle, and that's a long cycle, like 18 to 20 years. And so that the current up cycle is going to expire in early 2025, and we're going to go into this, 3 to 4 year period of a pretty big correction in real estate. So we got all those sort of things that are coming at us. Civil unrest. It's not just a US thing. People need to understand this. This is there's a website that shows you all of the, and you can filter it for different things, shows you all the different sort of protests that are going on all over the world. And it
Brazil had
is
a big one the other day. They had hundreds of thousands in the street.
Argentina's having it,
Yeah.
Germany, the Netherlands, all different countries in Europe where these farmers are just fed up.
Oh man.
France, the protests are huge, and it's going to intensify and get worse. And these people are demanding change. I'm not saying it's going to be, the French Revolution where you're going to see that kind of violence, but people want change, and they're not just gonna deal with words and promises anymore. They want change, and we're gonna see it dramatically.
Is the US going to be able to pull off an election?
That's a great question, and I think that's one of the places where the panic could develop. And we'll talk about that in a second.
Okay.
For national elections, all these highlighted, the ones that are colored in, all these different countries have um, elections that are going to be national elections, where
Yeah.
the whole country is voting. And I saw the figure. It said more than 40% of the world's population is eligible to vote in 2024 in national elections. So there's the potential for massive changes. I mean, if what the result in Argentina is any indication, I mean, you cannot get much more polar opposite than what they went. They went from
Right.
socialist slash communist, which have been in charge there for decades, to a libertarian.
You really include Russia as an election?
I mean, it's officially an election, but
All right.
is it a real election? I mean, anymore, Dale, can we say that about our country? I mean, it's getting bad
Well,
everywhere,
yeah.
you know?
Well,
And that's
it's still freer here than there.
absolutely no question
All right.
about that.
All right.
Um, some of the institutions that I think we can say are, falling down and beginning to show serious cracks. The press. I mean, the press is the people's confidence in the mainstream media and the press is at an all-time low. I think it's down to like 32%. Uh, does anybody believe anything that's put out by a national news organization anymore? I mean, that has failed, and it's being replaced.
What do you believe?
That's a good
What you
question, and
see online?
it's it's more of like you have to find trusted sources, right?
Well,
Through
how do you do
this
that?
it's through this, the connections we make, in our circles, online with people that we learn to trust. That's where people are getting their news now. Now, a lot of times it could be not correct and inaccurate, but that's the way things are going. I mean, here's another thing: public safety. Do people feel safe in San Francisco, Chicago, Baltimore, Philadelphia, LA? I mean, that's completely failed, and there's no losing faith anymore. It's a fact now. You go to certain parts of those major American cities, and you're taking your life in your own hands. And that's just here. The justice system, again, irrespective of politics, do you think that people have confidence in the courts and the justice system right now here? And these are just examples, of this country. It's also present all over the globe. So the transition this year is from losing faith to actually seeing the visible failure and deterioration of these institutions.
Well, aren't we seeing that with the Congress, House of Representatives?
Absolutely. How about the
It's
border?
broken,
How about the border? I mean,
broken.
there's nobody that can say, "Oh, that's functioning properly. That's working."
Yeah, true.
It's gone. It's gone. So, the title of this slide, I think, is really important to understand because 2024 is going to be all about karma. It's things that we did previously will come back to us, the good and the bad. And how this relates to the markets is I believe that the exuberance and the craziness and the speculation and everything that came along with these zero interest rates, this year the bill gets presented and the tab needs to be paid. And how that's going to play out, I don't know exactly. I don't know what the catalyst is going to be, but I know that the windows for this sort of mass realization are beginning to open. And one of the things I think that people don't realize is you just can't keep running the markets this hot forever and not have to ever pay the piper. Let's go to the next slide because this is one that I think um, you know, I'm not a huge Buffett fan. I think he's an incredible investor. He also, is an insider who gets a lot of deals that you or I could never get. Uh, but he has very good fundamental reasons for making the investments he makes. And one of the things is his market cap to GDP ratio. And if you look in 2009, we got down to like around 50, 60%. We're now nearing 200%. So is that one of these things where there's karma involved and the piper needs to be paid? Where we need to see a correction. If we get down to just parity, you're talking about, 2,500, where, market cap to GDP would be at 100%, be 2,500 in the S&P. So it's something to watch. I don't use this as a gauge of where the market could go to. It's just something to consider when you're looking at paying for the excesses and the party's over. It's time to clean up. This may be what's coming. Panic cycle. Um, I've studied a lot of the market history, in looking at how the cycles are intertwined with the past, because I think in looking at the past, it gives you an idea. It doesn't give you a roadmap, with exact turns, pinpoint turns, but it does give you an idea of what you can expect and what's possible. The current cycles that we're in are connected to panics from 1857 and 1932. Interestingly enough, the Panic of 1857 was caused by a banking crisis. A bank in New York failed, and then they started calling in, loans and assets, and it just sort of tumbled from there. The interesting thing about this one is that the telegraph made it the first crisis that spread rapidly. So there wasn't that informational advantage like the Rothschilds had in the Napoleonic Wars and those sort of things where they got the news first and then acted. The news spread quickly, and the connection to today, I think, is with technology, how everything is instantaneous, right? News is instantaneous, information is instantaneous. So there's that connection with there. The 1932 one is interesting to me, Dale, because I know you're a big ag guy. That's when we had the Dust Bowl and the extreme drought,
Yeah.
and the supply of crops and agriculture was really, really low. Are we heading for something else like that? I have no idea. Is it possible? Is the table kind of set for it? Yes. Panics are set off by catalysts, right? And the catalyst is something that changes perception suddenly. Um, for whatever reason, the selling starts and then everybody wants to sell. And so what are the potential catalysts we're looking at that could trigger these panic cycles? I think war's on the table. We've talked about that the last few interviews that war was a distinct possibility, that the background was there, the spread of war is going to happen, and we got the additional war in the Middle East. I think, unfortunately, that signature is going to be with us for a while, so we have to. War is definitely on the table. One of my theses is to look and see where the most borrowing has taken place, sort of the expansion of credit, because that's a decent chance for that to be the trigger. In the Great Recession, it was real estate, like strippers were owning four condos and renting them out, and credit was easy, and everybody was buying it. And then we had the great financial crisis. The most debt that's been put on in this cycle has been sovereigns. So is it going to be a sovereign debt issue? Possibly. Terrorism. We've kind of all been lulled to sleep to thinking, Osama bin Laden's dead. We don't have to worry about terrorism. That may rear its ugly head. And then the one you brought up earlier, the election results. And I'm going to ask you a question, Dale. No matter what the election results are, whomever the candidates are, I don't think it matters, Republican versus Democrat. Is the other side going to accept the result?
No, it'll probably go to the House of Representatives to be settled.
And
Maybe
let's say it
Supreme.
gets settled in the House of Representatives. Is the other side then going to accept the result?
Look, people didn't accept the result from the last one.
Nope, they didn't.
So
And
why should it be any different now?
I think it's worse, right? The
Yeah,
sentiment's worse now. And
yeah,
it's interesting. I went back to 2000 when, the Bush versus Gore issue, where
yeah.
every single election, not counting the incumbent, every single election, people didn't accept it in some way. So the first one was Bush Gore, right? And
Right.
then Bush, of course, was the incumbent, so he won the next election, so we don't count that one. After that, Obama, right? And there's people who don't accept him because they said he wasn't born in this country. His birth certificate was a fake and all that other garbage, right?
Yeah, who was that person?
That was Obama, right? They wouldn't
Who's the
accept it.
who? But who promoted that?
I don't know who was the big promoter of that. Was it
You do
Trump?
too. Yeah,
Was it Trump? Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So, but again, there was this questioning the election and the validity of the election. Then, of course, you had Trump, where they didn't accept the Democrats didn't accept him. Then you had Biden, where the MAGA people didn't accept that, and it's getting more intense and worse with every single election. So this one is set up to where that could definitely be the trigger for the panic in the period after that.
A
Uh,
constitutional crisis.
I think it's definitely on the menu. It's
Okay.
definitely on the menu and has way higher odds than you'd think normally it would have, right? And that's all we're looking at. We're looking at what are the odds of something, right? Is it above average, below average? And then we could say, okay, if it's above average, what's the expected value from that if we put this position on? And that's kind of how you can, you know, judge whether something makes sense to try or not. Here's a couple dates to watch that I think are really important. Early May, May 9th to be exact. That's a good time frame to look for a high for this melt up rally. I think we are going to go higher. And I think that period and that time frame is a good date to anchor down and watch for a possible high in risk then.
Why?
And then
What?
why?
Why geometric squares or what?
It's partly geometric squares, it's partly the cycle, and it's the panic window opens in that time frame. And so if
Okay.
the window is opening, it's probably a good chance we're making a high as the window opens.
Okay.
Uh, June 9th of the following year in 2025, that's where we could see a panic low. So a year of of selling, right? Because remember, we're going to get a high, we're going to get a pullback, and then we're going to get a lower high, and then we're going to start get really selling. And that's kind of the pattern that you see at these tops. And so it maps out to where we can get this low in this June, July of 2025 timeframe. And obviously we can dial that in, and I will dial that in as we move closer to these things. But I think those are decent dates for people to put on their calendars and to watch.
Any
But
idea as far as highs in the S&P? I mean, I know guys are, I could come up with if you just take the whole range from 4,800 to the correction low, and we hold 4,800, that measures 61. I know guys that are talking 7,000 S&Ps.
which I think would be incredible. I don't have anything that high. I'm more in the mid fives.
Okay.
Um, but as you know, because you've seen it, when the train gets rolling, man, it goes higher than you think possible. So it's
Well, we're
it
only 2.5 months away from your
yeah,
window.
yeah,
Yeah.
I
Okay.
agree. So what are the opportunities and what am I looking at? I'm looking to play risk both ways, being very tactical. Um, we're playing the moves up as they set up, and Blake was talking about the S&P. If you look at it technically, it's still bullish. There's nothing bearish about it yet. So, and a lot of people I think have been getting run over by trying to step in front of this train, but you got to play it both ways. There'll be a time, hopefully once the high comes in, everything, the the setup is there, and then you get short, and then you enjoy the ride. In the meanwhile, you play to the long side while it sets up and the risk rewards there. There are epic cycle plays that we've talked about the last few times that have started perking up, and I want to go over those. I really think the transition from bear to bull in commodities is going to take place starting this year. So I want to look at energy, some ags, and some softs. I think you buy the US dollar, and I know everybody likes to say, oh, it's going to lose its reserve currency status. It's going to, they're printing money like crazy, the budget deficit, this and that. It is the tallest midget in fiat land. There's no debating that. So if we have problems, if we have panic, if we have issues, money's going to flow into the dollar. And I still think you can sell bonds. I do not see rates going dramatically lower. I thought the people calling for cuts in March was crazy. I honestly believe the next move from the Fed may be to raise rates, not cut them. But we'll see. We'll see how it plays out, especially on the inflation front. All right, let's look at some charts. So here's the ES in calendar days with a potential kind of path that I could see. We have a little correction here, maybe down to the second, third week of March, and it could be sideways. It doesn't even have to be deep. And then we take off into the potential terminal phase into early May, and then we start the stair stepping down into the potential panic in 2025 or again around the election, December, January, uh, end of December this year, early January next year, if there is, as you said, a constitutional crisis. So that's kind of the path I see on risk. Um, NQs look something similar. Maybe a little pullback, could be sideways. Go make a higher high, and then we start, going over the top of the roller coaster and start the down move. Some of the epic cycle plays, I think that we've talked about in the past that are really winding up are gold.
Okay.
I know you're looking for a potential clean out move, and I think that would be perfect, right? If we come down, sweep the stops under 2000 and then go. But
Well, we
look,
did that.
yeah,
We did
look at
that
this.
already.
We did do that once, but it could happen again. Look at this, Dale.
Uh,
You see the triangle here that's formed?
Yeah.
Look where it is. It's sitting on
Yeah.
top of all these highs.
It's a cup and handle, isn't it?
Yeah, it looks like a cup and handle. And it's just so anybody that says, "Oh, gold's terrible, Bitcoin is the king," gold's, for old people and all this. This is not a bearish technical formation. at all. All it's doing is building up energy for a big break. And right now, because of where this triangle is forming on top of the highs from 2020, 2022, 2023, that's bullish. So we'll
Okay,
see. But
the bearish argument is we spiked above it, false breakout, and we're
Mhm.
underneath it now.
That's right. That is the bearish argument. I just say go look at a weekly, go look at a monthly, and look left.
Okay.
Let's look at the next one. You were talking about this today. Silver's a little less bullish because it's not sitting on top of these highs. But look at after we got this spike low in July of last year. It's grinding its way up, triangulating just like gold. If you look farther left, like, we're on top of all this, right? All this here. So
Yeah.
these things, and remember, they fit well with this whole things are resetting, things are going to be changing. The financial and global trade and monetary system is not going to be the same. Gold and silver are forever, right? And here's the new money.
If the monetary system is not going to be the same,
Mhm.
how can you be bullish a dollar?
Well, it's not bullish for 30 years. It's bullish for the next couple years
Okay.
in the transition, essentially.
You like in the milkshake camp, you
Similar,
could see
similar thing.
120,
Yeah.
140.
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
As they reset the whole system, right?
Okay.
You're not going to be holding like South African Rand if that's happening, right?
No, you
Most
don't even
likely.
want to hold that now.
You don't know all that now. Here's one that we've talked about for last two or three shows. I mean, the Epoch Cycle play is coming through big time here. And it just, again, I'm not a huge crypto guy. I've owned Bitcoin. I've had some other cryptos when things were going crazy and I was trading them. But you can't argue with the chart and you can't argue with what it represents, which is an alternative to the current system. It kind of fits with the cycle. So Bitcoin's been a good performer.
Yeah.
Crude. Here's a Forex stop hunter special, right? What if we just keep winding up in this triangle, swing down to take out all the stops, and then we take off? I like
Yeah.
crude higher. I think the supply demand, you talked about, problems in the Middle East with the Houthis and the Red Sea, all that points to issues and disruptions and higher prices in crude. And this again is one of those commodities that here's the Russian invasion. It's just kind of been drifting down in like a bear market. But look where we're pausing on
Yeah.
top of all this. It's bullish. Here's one that the old Widowmaker, and the reason I put this one out, it's not don't go out and buy it today, but understand where you are compared to other points in history where it's been considered a value and a bargain. 2020 lows, 2015, 16 lows, 98, 99 lows, 95, 94 lows. When the setup's there, this is one to get in.
Okay.
I mean, you're in a value
Cheap.
range, right?
Yeah.
It's value. Here's wheat. This
Wheat
one,
has the most constructive chart of all the grains.
absolutely. Unlike corn and soybeans, which, continuing to make lows, this thing's been making a higher low since the low that made in last year. It's made a higher low so far. And again, I encourage you to look at the bigger picture and see, look left and see, where is this support coming in? And we're sitting, in this case, we're sitting on top of the highs here, 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, right? We're right in that
Yeah.
range,
Yeah.
testing those. So wheat looks good. I do think corn and soybeans at some point when we get the setups, they're also going to be good candidates. It's the old, you try to buy what's out of favor once you get the signal that it's going to start moving. And I think that's the case with most of the commodities. Here's one that broke out. We talked about it a couple times on the show last few times. We actually got the breakout. Right here was we were in this sort of
Yeah,
wedge for a long time, like 18, 20 months.
yeah.
We broke out and it's moving up nicely. And you can see what happens when it breaks out. Like here was a triangle that it broke out of. Look at the moves you get. Pretty nice move. So cotton is one that is moving now and looks very bullish. It's a good buy on any pullbacks to support.
Will everyone in America go back to polyester leisure suits?
Maybe that would connect us with the
You
70s,
had
right?
one. I
You know,
saw
my
that picture of you
I
at
had
the
an I had a
disco.
I had a tangerine one. How about that?
Good one, Ben.
Eighth grade graduation. I wore my tangerine leisure suit.
Wow.
Yep.
Surprised they let you go to high school. Anyway, go. All right. Coffee. Yeah. You're probably
Coffee.
going to say cocoa.
Cocoa went crazy already.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
had we were on that. Unfortunately, I got
Wow.
out too early, like is always the case, because who knew that was going to be the monster it was? But yeah, we we
Only
we
the
caught the break.
naive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we caught the break. So here again, you got a triangle forming, right, on a monthly
Yeah.
basis. But look where the lows are, Dale,
Yeah. Classic.
along historic support, right?
Yeah.
So coffee looks set to break out. There's the Dixie. Now, again, look at the Dixie, right? Everyone's talking about, oh, the dollar's done. BRICS is going to have an alternate system. The U.S. fucked up. They did this. They did that. They weaponized the dollar. Well, look where this triangle's sitting on the previous highs, on top of all these highs.
Yeah. What if we took them out? Would you change is that your bull bear line? What
Yeah, I
is
mean,
it
listen,
like?
if we get it,
Par?
yeah,
Is that
if
par?
we got stuck, if we got, yeah, right around par. If we got stuck below 100, below par, right? If we
Yeah.
came down, tried to go back up and failed there, absolutely, I would switch sides.
Okay.
But sitting here, the odds
Yeah.
favor
You
the
give
the
it the
breakouts.
benefit of the doubt.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the odds are that the breakout's going to go higher. So we play it.
Okay.
And then lastly, bonds. When we last saw bonds 3 months ago, we had this little bar formed, and I said we're going to probably rally up to here and then turn. There's your rally, fail, right? Failing at resistance
Yeah.
in this area. Boom. I think rates are going higher. And like I
Could
said,
we
I
get
would.
up to if this pullback doesn't make a new low and we have another run, where's that trend line break coming in?
It's like around
110?
125, 126.
Okay.
That's the area we got to get above. If we get above that, then I got to change my tune. Rates are going lower.
Okay. All right.
But that's, that right now odds favor they're heading the other direction. And that's it for the charts. This little thing we do the weekly videos. If you want to listen to what we have to say, come check it out. And if you want to follow me on Twitter, just go there.
Thank
So
you,
it's
Ben.
it's not the end of the world, Dale. It's just the end of the world as we know it. And there's going to be big changes. And I think having people understand, what those changes means, then we can get positioned in a way that we're not only not going to get hurt, but maybe benefit from the changes. And that's what we're trying to do.
Yeah, sounds like making money isn't going to be the most important part of what we're going to go through.
Yeah, and I think that's right. It's getting through this period of change and being able to come out on the other side in one piece. And I think we can. I think it's not, like I said, it's not the end of the world. As one guy one told me one time, an old guy when I first started in the business, he said, "Don't bet on the end of the world. It only happens once."
Okay.
So don't
The
bet on the end
times
of the
they
world.
are a changing with Ben Maldonado. Follow Ben, watch his videos. Ben has a unique perspective and has since I've been talking to him, which has been many years now, Ben. And I want to thank you for your contributions to our community and how you've kept people you've given them a real nice macro view for them to, plan their lives around. So appreciate you.
My pleasure, Dale. I'm always happy to talk to you and to share with your community because it's the work that you guys do and Blake and the team. It's fantastic the information you provide to people.
All right, Ben. Well, I'm rooting for you. Give me when the bell rings on a few things,
Give you a heads
give
up.
me a shout, and I hope that this karmic year that you reap your rewards and avoid the whirlwinds.
Agreed. That's the goal.
Okay, buddy. Ben Maldonado, everybody.
Take care, Dale.
Get to know him. And thank you, everyone. Remember, don't just count your cycles, count your blessings. Blessings are something you can always find something to be grateful for, even in a crisis. And it's hard to be depressed and grateful simultaneously. I know because I've tried it my whole life and it doesn't work. So choose gratefulness. And thank you, everyone. Hope we gave you seeds for you to think about going forward. All right, Ben, keep in touch, my trading warrior brother.
All right. Take care, Dale.
All right, so you could join the team, everyone, in about 6 minutes on the morning edge. And we'll see everyone tomorrow. Good hunting. Adios. You could catch me on Real Vision today at 4 p.m. Be on the daily briefing. Adios.
Hey traders, this is Blake Morrow with Forex Analytix. Thanks for stopping by our YouTube channel. Don't forget to like these videos, share them, and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any of the content that we provide here for free. Thanks for stopping by. I'll see you in the next video.